All right, this will be the video for short paper number 6, which starts the papers for that will be covering the marketing mix, or the 4 Ps. That will be papers 6 and 7. I've divided them in half in the order in which the textbook covers them, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But paper number 6 will cover product and price, and paper number 7 will deal with place and promotion. The reason why we cover it in this order is because promotion should be covered last. It's the last of the 4 Ps because the other 3 have to be decided on and decisions be made on those before we can promote. You have to know what the product is, how to price it, and where it's going to be placed before you can ever promote. So that's kind of the way we go in the order in which the 4 Ps are developed. That's the way that we'll be covering them in the marketing plan. So short paper number 6 and 7 go together. However, they are 2 separate papers. These will be fairly lengthy papers, the longest ones that you'll have as far as papers being written for this term out of the 10. I'm looking at the outline for short paper number 6. It'll be the next paper due. The introduction for paper number 6 needs to be there needs to be an introductory paragraph that covers all of the 4 Ps. So this introductory paragraph will be here in paper 6, but not in paper 7. You'll explain that it's the marketing mix, and the marketing mix contains these 4 things: product, place, price, and promotion. Make sure you list them in the order in which you'll be covering them. So it's just a basic introductory paragraph here in paper number 6. That paragraph will not be needed in paper 7. You just get right into the subjects, okay? The product section and pricing sections will be in paper number 6. Then with paper number 7, you'll just have the heading place right off the bat. There is no section heading, that sort of thing, because it's just a continuation. Product. We'll be covering several things with product, and in the outlines of the short papers I tried to give you page numbers in case you do not remember some of these concepts, because they are straight from Principles of Marketing. Some of the product decisions that we'll be dealing with are the product classification, product lines, the product life cycle, branding, packaging, those kinds of things. Okay. Now, if something that we cover, whether it be in product, price, place, or promotion, if there is something that I cover in a video or that I have in the outline that does not pertain to your product, then do not put it there. Leave it out. Do not put a statement, "This does not apply to this product." Well, you've just wasted time, ink, paper, everything by putting that there. If it doesn't apply, don't include it. That way, when I am reading the sections and I see that something's not there, then I will know that you decided that that did not pertain to your product. If a manager is reading through and they do not find something that they think applies, but then is not discussed, they will ask about it. But more than likely, if it doesn't apply to their product, they will not know. And if you put in there, "This particular concept doesn't apply to this product," well, that just raises questions. Well, why did they put that in here? Doesn't it apply? I can think of situations where it might apply. So you're just raising questions and wasting time, effort, space, money when you put that statement in there. If it doesn't apply, just skip over it. Back to product. The first thing that you need to discuss, and I would prefer this in paragraph form, though some students have listed the 4 Ps in bullet points. It's kind of difficult to do it that way. So, it's just, I think you run into more problems if you try to use listing form with the 4 Ps. Product classification. Is it a consumer product or business product? Business products are bought for and used for business use. Consumer products are purchased for personal use. This can be a discussion of this can be found on page 152 of the textbook. If you want to go into more detail, you can with consumer products. There are convenience, shopping, specialty, and unsought consumer products. And then with business products, you might want to classify yours as an installation, accessory, component part, raw material, business service, that kind of thing. Next, where does your product fit in the company. Now, I know you listed in paper 1 other products made by the corporation, but this deals more with product lines and product assortment. When you discuss where your product fits in the company, what product line would it fall into, or what product line is it in? If I had Tide as my brand that I was writing a marketing plan for, then I would discuss how Tide is in the detergent product line of Procter & Gamble. And Procter & Gamble has the detergent product line. They also have a potato chip product line, and diaper product line, shampoo product line, etc. So Procter & Gamble has a very wide assortment of product lines, a very wide assortment. So just kind of give a description of where your product fits into the corporate structure. Next is the product life cycle. Remember that the product life cycle is made up of 4 stages. Your textbook says 5 because they talk about the developmental stage. Your product's already been developed, so that doesn't apply here. So we're just going to be discussing, or you just consider the introductory stage, the growth, maturity, and decline stages. I would like for you to determine, based on sales and competition and that kind of thing, which stage your product is in. Time is not always the deciding factor as far as where your product is in the product life cycle. So saying that the product's been in the market for several years now, so it's in the decline stage. Well, just because it's in the market for several years doesn't mean it's in the decline stage. Soft drinks have been around for 100 years. They're in the maturity stage. So time isn't the deciding factor. Things like sales. What's happening with sales? Are they increasing rapidly? They are at growth stage. Have they reached a sales plateau or leveled off? Maturity stage. So that will help you. Profit. You look at that. Competition. If there's no competitors, it's probably the introductory stage. If there's lots of competitors starting to enter the market, it's probably growth stage. If all the top competitors are there, lots of copycat products, sales have leveled off, then we're in the maturity stage. If companies are starting to get out and pull their product from the market, it's probably in the decline stage. So describe which stage your product is in. If your product is not in the introductory stage, there's no reason for you to define the introductory stage and tell us all about the introductory stage and then end with, but this product's not in that stage. As I said before, if it doesn't apply to your product, you don't discuss it. So when you're getting in the product life cycle here, only discuss the stage or stages that you feel your product is in. Now, I said stages because your product could be transitioning from, say, the growth stage to the maturity. And so you'd say late growth, early maturity, because we don't know exactly when something goes from one stage to another. So your product may be transitioning from one stage to another, and that's perfectly okay. But there's no way that you would say this product's in the late introduction stage and entering into the decline stage. That doesn't make sense. Okay. So yes, you can have your product in multiple stages. But it's usually when it's transitioning from one stage to another. Next is branding. Branding covers quite a bit. What kind of brand loyalty does your product have? A lot of you have already discussed this, and so this would be a little bit of repeat information. No reason to go into a lot of detail here, but does it have high brand loyalty, high brand recognition, that sort of thing? Maybe it's high in one country or some countries, but not in others, or it's high all over the world, that kind of thing. If you have found some information on brand equity, as far as the value of the brand and how the value keeps increasing, or what the value of the brand is dollar-wise. What type of brand is it? Is it a family brand where it's one name with lots of different products under that same name? For example, Kenmore. There's Kenmore washers, Kenmore dryers, Kenmore dishwashers, Kenmore, whatever. Lots of products, different products under the same name, same family name, Kenmore. Or is your product an individual brand where, like Procter & Gamble has individual brands. They have Tide, Cheer, Biz, Ivory. Those are all individual names for their different detergents. Each product has its own name. Yours might be a combination of the two, like the Honda Accord. Honda is the family brand. Accord is the individual brand. And then one other thing dealing with branding is it a trademark? Is it registered with the U.S. Patent Office? And you know this by looking for the TM or the R or something when the brand is used on the packaging or in advertisements, those kinds of things that show that it has been registered with the U.S. Patent Office. So in that case, it turns it into a trademark. There's no need for you within the marketing plan to try to find something every time you use the product's name, or excuse me, the trademark in the text, in the body copy. There's no need for you to put TM or R or something next to it every time you use it in body copy. It's when you use it for promotions and recognition, it's when you'd want to do that to show that the company has registered it. The saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words, instead of describing the brand and the trademark, to save 1,000 words, you might want to put a picture in there of the brand. It's not a requirement, but if you want to put it in there, I think it works well, rather than trying to describe, that Pepsi Cola is a blue can with a red, white, and blue oval with a wave through it with a Pepsi. Instead of just trying to describe all that, just put a picture of the aluminum can or the brand itself in the body copy. Now, whenever you use an illustration, a table, a graph, refer to it, label it, table 1, figure 2, and then cite it. Where did you get it? Now, if there is no cite, then the assumption is you took the picture yourself. Even with that, I would, if you took a picture of, say, a brand because you couldn't find a good one online or something like that, I would create a reference and put the date that the picture was taken and what it was taken of, that kind of thing, so you could still cite it that way. The last thing that most of you will be discussing under product would be packaging. Again, a picture's worth 1,000 words. If you don't want to describe the packaging and you want to put a picture of it, that's perfectly okay. But what is the packaging? Every product has a package. You say, well, my product's an automobile. The dealership, the lot itself is the package. They put protection on it with the paper floor mats, the plastic across the front, and the hood to protect it during delivery. So there are protective devices on automobiles. The lot itself promotes it because packaging protects and promotes. So if you find things that are protecting the product or promoting the product, that's usually part of the package. The last two items under the product section deals with services or B2B products. If you have not discussed that in any detail to this point, this is your opportunity to do that. If your product is a service, describe how that differs a little bit, differs from being a tangible good. This is the place where you would do that. The B2B, you probably discuss that up under the product classification if you have a business product. So it's not needed here, but if you need more space or have some more information about it being a business product, you could put it here at the end of the section. Then move right into the pricing section, just have a subheading of pricing and move right into that. The very first thing that you need to have in the pricing section is the price. You'd be surprised at how many students discuss pricing and never state what the wholesaler's price, the retailer's price, what consumers pay, etc. You choose which one you want to include. Most students include the retail price, the average retail price, and the average price that is charged for something is called the market price. When you take a specific market and you put the average price that's in that market, we refer to that as the market price. Then I want to know, right after you discuss price or list the price there, I want to know, is the average price of your product, the market price for your brand, is it at, above, or below the rest of the competition? Is your product typically priced higher than the competition? Is it typically priced lower than the competition? Or is it about the same as all the others? The next two items under pricing go together. The balance of power. And price elasticity. These kind of go together. Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? It's a buyer's market if there's a lot of product out there. and the sellers are dropping prices to try to encourage sales, the buyer has more control or more power in that case. Whereas if it's a seller's market, that means there's very few out there, inventories are low, not a lot of options to choose from, and prices are usually a little bit higher than normal because of limited inventory. So we would call that a seller's market because the seller has more power in that case. If you ever get confused on that, think of buying a house. In Jacksonville, if there's only one house for sale, and there are lots and lots of folks moving to Jacksonville, and everybody wants to buy a home, if there are 10 families that are moving to Jacksonville and there's only one house for sale, the seller has the power. They'll charge a little bit higher price because they have only one, and there are lots of buyers, potential buyers out there. So it's a seller's market. The seller has the power. Now, if there are, 50 houses for sale in Jacksonville and there's only 10 families moving to the city, now we're in a buyer's market. The sellers are wanting to sell their property, and the buyers have the power because they don't have to buy that one. There are others to choose from in the market. And that goes along with price elasticity, in that if prices go up for your product, will demand go down? That would be elastic demand. Or does your product have inelastic demand? If the prices go up, demand stays about the same. This may have a little bit of repeat information that you had back with the economic environment discussion in an earlier paper. Moving on, there are the next two sections, pricing objectives and pricing strategies, kind of go together as well. The pricing objectives, what is the main motivation behind the price that the company sets for your product? They either are setting it because it's profit oriented, it's sales oriented, it's competition oriented, or it's image oriented. Profit oriented means that they set that price to achieve a certain level of profit, to maximize their profit, to get a 10% return on their investment or whatever. That's pricing based on profit. Your company could be basing the price of your brand on sales or volume. In other words, they'll drop the price just to get the sale. The product goes on sale or prices come down to move inventory to encourage the selling of the product. That's a sales-oriented or a volume-oriented pricing objective. Sometimes they'll list it as they want to move from 5% market share to 6% market share, and they'll adjust price to try to gain market share. That's a sales or volume-oriented pricing objective. A competition-oriented pricing objective would be one where we're not going to compete. The company says we're not going to compete on price. We're going to compete on either product or placement or promotion, but not on price. So we're just going to price our product at what the competition prices theirs at. Candy bars, soft drinks, these a lot of times have competition-oriented pricing. They're all within pennies of each other. The last one is pricing objective is using the image of the product as the basis for the price. And we call this prestige pricing. If you want your product to have a prestigious image, then you'll set a very high price for the product. So pick one of those. Try to pick one that is the motivation behind why the price is what it is with your brand. Then pricing strategies are the exact activities or the exact things that the company does, behaviors the company has to achieve that objective. These strategies are things like a skimming pricing strategy that's offering a very high price. That would be for, say, the profit-oriented objective or the prestige-oriented objective, as opposed to a penetration pricing strategy where you offer a very low price. That's probably for a sales-oriented objective. Then prestige pricing strategy is used to get to achieve the prestige pricing objective. It's the same name. Odd-even pricing, offering the product that ends in an odd amount or an even amount. Sometimes you'll see with lower price products something for sale for $1.99 or $19.95. $1.99 has a softer psychological impact than $2. $19.95 is a softer impact than $20. So does your product tend to have odd pricing if it's a lower price product? If it's a higher price product, a lot of times it'll be more of an even pricing. Say an automobile is for sale for $19,900. Ends in an even amount, though it has that softer psychological impact there. Are any discounts or allowances offered with your brand? Trade-in discounts, trade discounts, putting it on sale, things like that. Allowances like advertising allowances, quantity discounts, anything along those lines are they offer with your product. Is it a fixed, does it have a fixed price or a negotiated price? Fixed means everybody pays the same thing. There's no negotiation with the price. Or is your product typically sold with a negotiable price? And there are many other strategies that I haven't listed here that you could discuss as far as, pricing that includes shipping, that doesn't include shipping, and those kinds of things. So there's lots of strategies I did not list that you could discuss there. Remember, if something doesn't apply to your product, you don't discuss it. The last one is legal issues dealing with price. Up to this point in your research, if you've come across any kind of legal problems or issues that your company has had with your brand, dealing with price discrimination, price fixing, predatory pricing, bait and switch pricing strategies, if any of those, the company's been sued, fined, whatever, because of those or been accused of those, this would be the place where you would discuss that. These are legal issues that deal only with pricing. You've already discussed the legal environment. We're not talking about all laws governing the company. That was back in the legal environment. These are only laws that deal with pricing. I don't want you to name the laws and what they need to watch out for. I want you to name any kinds of issues they've had to this point in the company or product's history with pricing discrimination. Have they been accused of that? Price fixing, if they've been accused of that, etc. Have they been fined and been found guilty of it, etc. These are only legal issues dealing with pricing. Okay. Now that is paper number 6. The other 2 of the 4 Ps will be in paper 7.